Hey everyone, welcome to LEGO Rewind, where we take another look at old retired LEGO themes. We've covered more than a few space lines, but those were pure science fiction, even the somewhat more grounded ones. We're dialing things back a bit today to our own backyard, the first step into that great beyond. Our main focus today will be the short-lived Discovery theme, but this is a sub-theme, part of a much larger project, LEGO NASA. The first LEGO NASA set was released in the UK in 1975 and America a year later, simply called Moon Landing. This is before the first minifigures, the astronauts themselves mostly made of normal bricks, with hinged arms similar to those later used for the LEGO Technic guys. Classic LEGO Space wouldn't be a thing for a couple more years, but you see the same blue, yellow, and gray that gave it its identity. So this is LEGO Space before LEGO Space. I love the picture they took, with the sand simulating the real surface of the moon, and I guess it's supposed to be Earth in the background. Reminds me a bit of this pic taken by Michael Collins, for a time the loneliest man in the universe. Included in this family photo is the entirety of humanity, every human alive at the time, even including his fellow astronauts, except, well, somebody has to take the picture. Nowadays, one could just take a selfie with all this behind them. The lander itself isn't very realistic, mostly blocks and slopes, but that was really all they had to work with. LEGO as we know it was still in its infancy. Just imagine if minifigs were never a thing, if all LEGO sets going forward were made with this scale in mind. You think they're big and expensive in this timeline? Oh boy, we wouldn't see another NASA-inspired set for some time. Sure, we get the occasional stylized town sets in that ballpark, but the next truly authentic set came out in 1990, with a decent level of accuracy for the limitations of that era. And then another extended break. In 2003, this line exploded like a supernova. The Discovery subline only boasted 6 sets, but that's a huge jump from, what, a single set every 14 years on average? With this line, LEGO strove to represent these pieces of equipment as realistically as possible, though in different scales. Some of them were more of a display piece than a toy, and we don't see LEGO skew that way very often. I like the ones that bundle a bunch of little things together. You get a whole playset to act out adventures with. Here's a more kiddie one I had fun with. I remember taking a trip to the Museum of Science in Boston, and I think that may be where I bought it. They had most of the Discovery line in a gift shop at the time. It was neat. There's something I love about all those sprawling dragonfly wing-like solar panels giving it that air of weightlessness. It didn't hold together very well though. I can't help thinking with LEGO's current building standards, they'd do this very differently if they took another swing at it. I also picked up Mission to Mars, the next major step on our path to greatness. I had fun with the rover in particular. There's a much larger Technic build version with rough, sturdy sails representing the solar panels. Space Shuttle Discovery STS-31 is the biggest brick-built one in the line, but even that doesn't quite make it to minifig scale. The only one that includes minifigs is a lunar lander. The figures themselves are stand-ins, not representing any real heroes that went up there unless you want them to. This is considered the most realistic of the line, partly because, well, it's actually a decent scale with minifigs, but even with the limitations that brings, there's a ton of detail for the time and holds up pretty dang well today. Yeah, look at those landing struts. The 70s version doesn't compare. It's one of those sets that's kinda simple but still great. An ideal pick if you could only ever get one from the line. I'd love to see them take another go at it today. Sorry this video is more or less a slideshow so far, even more than usual. But this line was so short-lived they never even made any commercials for it. The releases range from limited to downright rare. The lander was a LEGO store exclusive. I don't even want to find out how expensive it is now. LEGO NASA would survive in some form as part of the Creator and later Ideas or Kusu lines, though not seeing any new releases for a while. Here's one that's similar to Shuttle Discovery, released in 2010 under the name Shuttle Adventure, and again in 2013 as Shuttle Expedition. Originally a display piece for young adults, it proved so popular with little kids that designers went back to the drawing board and made it stronger structurally, to better withstand a child's play. That's beautiful. How often do you hear of a toy company doing this sort of thing? And here's 2014's Curiosity Rover. This was a great mid-tier set, balancing the needs of a toy and a display piece about as well as anything at its modest price range can, blue pins aside. 2 more sets were released in 2017. The first we'll look at is Women of NASA, which is amazingly priced given the focus on minifigs, which usually bumps things up a bit, and you get to build a few props and make neat little toys on their own. It even has their names. I recommend looking up each of these women. You'll find some interesting stories, but I've saved for last what may be the best NASA set ever released, NASA Apollo Saturn V. This makes an awesome display piece and a great playset. Look at the size of this thing. That little gray strip near the top is the same width as the old rocket, but it needs to be this big to squeeze in its own lander, which itself comes with a pair of nanofigs. This is a recent trend that has me excited. The nano or microfigs give LEGO an opportunity they didn't have before, to make sets that would have been way too big to portray accurately, at least with normal minifigs, and downsize them just enough to scale decently with the nanos. The most recent Hogwarts Castle is another great example. Projects they may never have taken on before are feasible now. Heck, if you still have this shuttle, just plop a nano in there and boom, now it's in scale, I think. It doesn't make it suddenly too big now. And that price to part ratio, dang! This might not have been the most exciting line to watch an episode about, but it's exciting to me. The kinds of sci-fi I've highlighted before are my desired end result, but we're never going to approach anything close to that if we don't take the necessary baby steps towards that today. Space is, well, it's pretty big, dauntingly so. I get depressed when programs like NASA are defunded, when people say we should get our heads out of the clouds, turn our gaze inward, and not take space seriously as a long-term goal. That just leaves us one thing less to look forward to inspire us. Another dream we've given up on as our claustrophobic world gets even smaller. Once upon a time, we could only dream of experiencing flight, but we made that happen. The star's untouchable, our own moon so far away, we reached out and grabbed it. Now though, it seems we're content to sit back and twiddle our thumbs. The final frontier has lost its luster. Been there, done that, you know? I hope in my lifetime we'll at least manage to recover some samples from Europa. If not little marine worms, then maybe some kind of film. Hopefully we won't go extinct before making the journey. A downer note to end on, I know, but that's kind of in the DNA of LEGO Rewind. I could focus on more colorful, relevant things like superheroes that continue to thrive today without my help, but anything I could say to prop up things that don't need any propping up would be redundant. I prefer to focus on smaller fledgling lines like this that had their day, came and went, and are underappreciated in my book. If you never heard of LEGO Discovery before today and you've made it this far, then I've done my job. That's it for today. You can find these at Brickset down below. If you want to support my work, please consider my graphic novels, available on Kindle and print. If you're short on money, you can read an older draft of the first volume for free. Next time, something more appropriate for the season. Toodles!
Attention, LEGO maniacs! Massive meteors threaten Earth. You must stop them. Complete construction of a new LEGO spaceport. Use high-tech equipment to train for your mission. Send satellites to track the meteor. Now's the time to prepare for blastoff. And blast the meteor away.
Nice shot.
Whoa.